What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the blue color, playing as Odin. His name is Shelty. His opponent today in the red color, playing as Oranos. His name is Kvoth. The map is Sheltered Pass. It's currently 1-0 for Shelty, taking that first win against Kvoth's Thor on Mirage. Both players changing gods up into this next map, Sheltered Pass. We see the Oranos, we see the Odin. This is becoming a very, very stock standard matchup for this map. People feeling like it's good for both of these gods. We'll have to wait and see. I honestly think that this map is good for Zeus here. I'm surprised we don't see more Zeus. Why is this map good for Zeus? There's just tons of hunts. So Athena rushing, Minotaurs, all this stuff is going to be really fun with Zeus. But for some reason, players are just content with the Odin. Now, we did see a kind of hilarious exchange here in terms of the vetoes that happened before. So I'll explain what happened to the YouTube viewers. Kvoth spawns in on the first spawn of Sheltered Pass. He sees the elephant and he immediately vetoes. The reason he wants to veto against an elephant spawn rather than one of the other potential spawns is that for the Odin player, he can actually drag the elephants in underneath the town center and skip an ox cart. Now, Shelty has chosen to not skip an ox cart here. So he's not going to find that advantage that Kvoth is a little bit worried about. But the second game spawns in with a second elephant, and Kvoth feels like he's hard done by here. But I will guarantee you that I personally believe that Oranos in this matchup has got nothing to worry about. Oranos has got all the tools he needs to defend against anything which the Odin player can throw at him in the early game to a very big degree. It just comes down to a couple of key decision-making moments. But we'll see how things are going to go, as if anyone here has kind of got experience in this matchup, Shelty is the one. Shelty has been playing the Odin as a hard counter god to Oranos for quite some time. Obviously, Shelty's experience in Age of Mythology dates back to pre-2010s. I believe he was playing pre-2010s, and he's been an expert for a very, very long time at this game. So he knows the ins and outs of this god. He knows the ins and outs of this matchup, and I imagine he's seen the vast majority of what's possible here in this matchup as well. So we'll see what Shelty's going to come up with. We'll see what Kvoth is going to come up with. As it looks like Kvoth is, simply put, just going to be going for a stock standard advance time here, going for a 4:30. One of the most important things to do as an Oranos player while you're in this matchup is to bring your oracles back to your hunt. This is vitally important. I have actually worked out that I am not crazy when I say this, but Oranos players, if they go for a 4:30 advance time, they can manually heroize all three of these oracles. They can get up the manor, military academy, and a counter barracks and be able to spam units out from the get-go. No problems. So I'm still going to be waiting here for Oranos players to realize this and start actively gathering excess gold to afford the Oracle heroes instead of wasting a potential Valor on them and finding yourself in a good spot. Anyways, hand axe is coming through for Kvoth, so he's not actually deciding, instead of going for that play we were talking about, he's going for a more economic play, which I don't mind, but he might find himself in a difficult position here, as we do see the Hersers starting to come out, the Longhouse starting to come up here as well. And we'll have to see how things are going to go. As the counter barracks coming down, the military barracks coming down here for Kvoth. This is not what we've actually been seeing in this matchup. The big strategies we've been seeing recently out of players like Moore, Grassengroom, and Tunison have been double military barracks in this matchup to start things off. As we do see the Valor coming in there for Kvoth there, as his oracles pop out. And the Valkyrie will have to retreat away. But now Kvoth doesn't get himself all of the boosted first 3 units, as that Valkyrie is simply just going to be running around causing problems. We are seeing walls coming up here for Shelty, which is a big surprise at the start of this game. I mean, what else is Shelty going to be trying to do here? He has eaten up what seems to be the entirety of his rhinoceros over here. He still has the elephant in his main base. He's got the zebra over on this position. Too many villagers here to just jump onto the wood and move his wood villagers over there. We see just 2 longhouses coming out here for Shelty as he's scouted out. He sees exactly what's coming through for Kvoth, so he's got a good idea of what to expect here in this game. As the Valkyrie is going to be returning back onto this position. Kvoth simply just leaving his Oracle heroes here to defend. He's going to get a couple of shots off, and Shelty going to have to just retreat back as now the units pushing across the map. There's really not much he can hit with these Terma. So we'll see what he's going to go for. As Kvoth pushes in, there's a whole bunch of these Shelty units just waiting in the back, waiting for that lone wanderer to come in. Shelty, this is what he does so good. This early game macro from Shelty here, he hits that perfect 60 population at 6 minutes, and he's keeping up with the population, or in front of the population of the Oranos, to a very big degree here. And that he's got to be happy about that thus far. The only thing he's missing at this point is the medium infantry upgrade. Oh, we almost see a villager getting sniped here as the villager is trying to retreat away. Does manage to get away with his life, but 1 HP remaining. That's going to be an easy snipe there for Kvoth if he does notice it. As the Ulfsark coming through, you're going to start hitting those Terma, as they are not quite fast enough to actually hit their Terma, but he's going to be getting away nonetheless. As more units coming through now, starting to see the Caraballister coming in, the final Zebra finishing up here. Now, the big question is, does Kvoth just jump onto this large gold mine, send these villagers down to the bottom to eat the rhino? Or does he send his units to the front of his base to start eating those giraffe? Those are the big questions here that need to be answered. As Shelty coming in with a handful of units, but the army that's here for Kvoth, very scary. As the units do get hit here, and the Ulfsark going to have to retreat away as the villagers for Kvoth are moving to the center of the map here to drop a banner and grab these giraffes. As the army now going to be breaking down the gate on the front here. And the Ulfsark are going to be moving through to potentially snipe a villager here. If Kvoth's not careful, he might lose this as Shelty gets in and he gets a complete surround on that citizen. Not a complete surround on that citizen at all, as Shockwave does get utilized. Will he be able to get back here or not is the big question, as the citizen, not only do we see Shockwave used, but we also see a citizen kill there for Shelty. Beautiful play by Shelty. That citizen was getting very confused about its direction in life, as now we see the army pushing through here. The villagers on this position are open to attack, as Shelty is not reacted just yet. He's got plenty of units over here. There's no shockwave remaining, so this army of Kvoth is very much out of position as one villager does go down. We see an ox cart getting taken out as well. Kvoth will have to attempt to retreat out here. There is a way out this way, but there are units already in for Shelty to potentially block this off. There's a little gap at the bottom here as well that can help those units retreat, as we do see a couple of units being sacrificed to allow Kvoth out of that position. As the units hanging in the middle of the map here, Kvoth might want to start dropping some more military buildings as we see the gold starting to expire. This is where things get very spicy for the Odin player against an Oranos player. It's when they have to go out to that second gold mine. All the golds are forward on these positions. We see one random Promethean offspring here. There is a beautiful gold mine up the top here, which Shelty could potentially sneak as well, as we do see a Caraballister there getting sniped down, as the other Caraballister are going to go down as well. No Ulfsarks falling. They're all on basically half HP, as he's going to be retreating back for the time being. We're now going to be seeing Kvoth attempting to engage this army. There is no shockwave available at the present time. There's plenty of Prometheans here, as we do see that final house coming up, as a military barracks going to be getting dropped here, as the army now seeing the units on this position with the giraffe on this location, trying to find some sort of a surround here to get a decent fight started, as the thrown axeman on this location getting cleaned up. The military barracks almost popped popping here is the villagers will have to garrison into the manor for the time being as the army coming back to take this fight. The Carabalus is out in the middle of nowhere as the Prometheans pushing forward. The Herso do have a great location here to go straight onto those Prometheans as the Terma getting caught out of position a little bit here, trying to run and distract as best as they possibly can. Shelty, 100 population, same too for Kvoth, but Shelty decides in that moment, medium infantry come through. Shelty decides to turn back for a hot second there as Kvoth also deciding to turn back as both players are not sure whether they want to take the fight or not. As this citizen here going to be making a break for it for a potential gold mine up on this location, very low on the HP there. There's more Mamilo coming out. It's still very, very close here as the Carabalus on the back will be doing tons of damage. You've got to be super careful with those hero citizen at this point. It might be not a bad idea to drop another house over here or simply just retreat the hero citizen back home. Meanwhile, the dwarves over on this gold mine just happily mining gold over there. Kvoth's got plenty of resources in the bank here to potentially drop some towers or get some other units out. We do see that the raiding cavalry are going to be going after this position. A lone forest fire does get dropped. We've seen that time and time again as the Promethean going to be diving in onto the back of those throwing axemen there as the raiding cavalry managed to jump around on the back of those Terma starting to get the damage done there. It's still incredibly equal in terms of population here as Shelty going to be retreating back for the time being. Not sure if he's ready to continue these fights. Meanwhile, the villagers for Shelty going to be moving onto this location here and now immediately we start seeing Kvoth spreading his army out going after this gold line. He knows what to do in this position here as more counter barracks coming up as Kvoth wants more Carabalus. He needs the Carabalus to deal with those throwing axemen. They are so strong against the army that Kvoth has constructed here as this citizen almost getting sniped down. Going to be pulling that one back. Kvoth can start those Carabalus. The more units coming back over onto this position to try and defend here as this counter barracks will get finished as Kvoth can start pumping out. Well, he's going for Terma here. I'm not a big fan of the Terma, but he's going to attempt to make it work as the throwing axeman getting some huge damage done. Another option here for Kvoth would be to start just putting more villagers off of wood, getting an armory and getting his armory upgrades or going into the next age as well. Or getting a town center here at this point. Maybe not a crazy idea either as we do indeed. We see the counter barracks actually deciding to get sniped there, and I imagine there's going to be a shockwave very, very shortly coming through as the Terma do manage to get onto the back of those throwing axemen, getting some good damage done as the shockwave gets immediately used there as Kvoth is going to be pushing through this army beautifully here with those Prometheans. No Hersa remaining as more units coming through for Kvoth. The waves of Oranos units are starting to mount as we do see some dwarves coming through here to start helping out, but those throwing axemen are so key here in this fight. But the Terma getting micro nicely, sniping down throwing axemen as the fight goes along. It's still very close in terms of population as one Hersa has come through to be able to take down the majority of those Prometheans. But the throwing axemen are incredibly low HP and they're not trading well in this position at all. Now Shelty pushing forward with villagers here to try and eat the giraffe in the middle of the map. Can he manage to do this? He's going to be sacrificing villagers into this position as now we see a sentry tower getting dropped, military barracks coming up, and in that position Shelty does tap out as he cannot manage to continue to fight that with the weaker throwing axeman. Beautiful try there from Shelty, but Kvoth, too smart, goes into like mass Terma after he sees all of those throwing axemen. And Shelty, for whatever reason here, just did not have the production to then make himself the raiding cavalry or Ulfsark out to then continue this fight. He did not have the resources here at all. If we take a look at the timeline and the resource counter, Kvoth moves up in front by a significant margin in this game. The unit killed loss is in the favor of Kvoth as well, and Shelty just could not work this one out. I feel like because Shelty started this one so slow, he was probably able to do some sort of semi-fast heroic here, which could have been a really nice way to play, get himself like some frost giants, get himself a frost to win a fight easily, get himself this gold mine secured. But instead, he tried to continue to fight this head on, and he didn't even have medium infantry here in this matchup either, and he just could not make it work. Kvoth leading the series 1-1. We have a game number 3. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys enjoyed this game, please consider follow on the Twitch. If on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.